Well, the cycle of violence continues as ever. It's RWBY time, and not only is it RWBY time, it's Volume 5 time. I hope you're ready, because this is going to be a long one. We open with our main group. Fuck do I call you people? Ranger? That's dumb. You're the IQ deficiency support group now. I know it's a dumb joke, and it'll probably get old eventually, but when it does, I'll change it. We open with the IQ deficiency support group having some banter about how they got to Mistral, the obstacles they had to face, and everyone and everything that tried to kill them. Only one of them almost died, says RWBY, which, I mean, yeah, but there's no telling the amount of danger you could have completely sidestepped had you just taken a train or something, like Oscar did. I mean, there's no way Tyrion would have been able to catch up with a train. You'd have been protected from Grimm, at least to the extent that you wouldn't be having to walk through ruined villages full of them, and it would have saved you untold amounts of time and energy. A few train fares are certainly worth all of that, right? But we've been through all of that. Point being, you're all dumb, especially you, RWBY. Moving on, they find themselves overlooking a matte painting of Mistral. RWBY gawks at how awesome the PNG image is, and we're treated to a series of even more PNG images. Production quality is getting higher and higher by the season, dear viewer. We cut to check up on Weiss. She's hanging out on a freighter ship when the pilot picks up a distress signal from a ship being attacked by Grimm. She asks him if they're gonna acknowledge it, and he refuses, wishing to stay under the radar. And honestly, nice. You made a character make a decision that's entirely in line with his motives. Don't mess this up, show. You're gonna mess it up. Back to the IQ deficiency support group, and finally they've made it to Haven Academy, where something's amiss. There's no one here, which would normally make sense considering school's out of session, but Crow insists something's wrong. They charge up to the headmaster's office, draw their weapons, kick open the door, and it's just Lionheart. He's just a silly little guy. He forgot to meet them at the door. He says that most of the staff is away till classes resume, and Crow immediately starts pressing him for good reason. Also, Nora's not funny. Hey, we're back with the Belladonnas and Sun. We're moving fast, aren't we? Seems whatever information they had on the fucking insanely convenient scroll they got a hold of last season wasn't quite enough to incriminate Adam Taurus of anything. At least that's what I confer, because they're pretty pissed about it. Blake heads outside and is immediately confronted by Elia, which is kind of funny. What if she just stayed inside? Would you waited out there all night? Anyway, Elia and Blake have a conversation consisting entirely of information both of them already know, and that both of them come out of with no new knowledge or sentiment. It exists entirely to relay information to us. Are you surprised? No? Let's move on. Crow's still pressing Lionheart for information, and we get some explanation on the current state of affairs. Mistral's in a pretty bad spot, their representative council is at odds with Atlas, and they still don't know where the Spring Maiden is. And Crow, justifiably, pushes back. If all of that's true, then that's even more reason to guard the relic as heavily as possible, and it's actually kind of stupid to have the place unguarded save for one dude. Of course, why this is the case might have been an interesting mystery had we not already been completely spoiled on Lionheart's association with Salem's Funky Bunch, but from my experience, suspense is lame and good writing is for nerds. Moving on, RWBY interjects, stopping Crow from pressing further, stating that things are bad, but they can figure it out, and subsequently asking why the Spring Maiden is so important. Good going, you fucking moron. Crow is entirely right to be pressuring Lionheart on this. You should know it's really important that Salem's Funky Bunch don't get this relic, and you were there the last time one of these schools didn't have sufficient security to withstand an attack like this. Why are you stopping him from trying to get straight answers? Are you dumb? And stepping out into the meta for a second, it's not even in RWBY's character to do this. If this was an argument among members of her team, that would be one thing, and even then it'd be a little strange, but she's been shown to trust Crow a great deal, and she should have the capacity to realize he's not just yelling at Lionheart for no reason. Had she not interrupted this extremely important conversation, Crow may have very well been able to get Lionheart to admit to some things we unfortunately already know. We learn what happened to the Spring Maiden. She ran away and abandoned her training over a decade ago. And fortunately for us, Crow knows exactly where she is. It turns out when she did run away, she was picked up by a gang of bandits, more specifically the Brown Ones, led by Raven. So, okay, of all the, I assume, multiple bandit tribes out there, the Spring Maiden just happened to get tangled up with the one run by your sister, and that you happen to know the exact location of due to having once been a member. Huh. Lucky. Turns out, despite now knowing her location, Mistral can't just send out a retrieval force immediately, which Crow responds to by saying they can just do it themselves. Ren suggests a more peaceful option and is promptly ignored completely. Was that supposed to be a joke? Anyway, Lionheart says they need to have a force big enough to be certain they can do it in one try, so they'll have to wait for approval from the council. Crow agrees, but before fucking off, he tells Lionheart to keep in touch, saying that local comms are still up. No, fuck off. You're kidding. You're not serious. Do not tell me that the CCT tower and beacon being knocked out took out communication in other parts of the world too. I swear to God you're not telling me that. The IQ deficiency support group splits up. The four kids head back to the house while Crow goes to get drunk. While getting drunk, he's approached by the orange boy, who tells him he's supposed to ask for his cane back. Okay, how did you know he was here? This is some random bar. It's not like he frequents this place. He's not from here. Anyway, we cut to Yang. She's at a gas station where she's approached by a creepy guy, hits him, and gets a tip on the relative location of the Bronwyn tribe. As she's about to leave, the guy she punched says he overheard the tip she'd been given, despite the door being shut, and offers to help her? What? So this is obviously a trick. Yang should know this is obviously a trick, right? We're back to the IQ deficiency support group again, minus RWBY. They hear a knock at the door and get inexplicably antsy, like it's probably not just Crow or the mailman or something. John opens the door and finds the Mango Boy asking for Ruby Rose. Crow quickly follows, hammered. And the apricot boy introduces himself as Oscar and Ozpin. Well, so far, so bad, but at least the opening's better than the last one. Sure, it's mostly comprised of unedited shots of the characters standing stationary looking away from the camera, like the last one, with questionable shot composition and shitty lighting, like the last one, but the music is okay, and it's not as miserable a slog as another opening I know. Still, talk about a lack of energy, man. Everyone moves like they're wading through an ocean of yogurt and molasses while smacked on horse tranquilizers. So, okay, why are you still here? What are you doing? Are you just sitting around in your office looking worried? Why are you at work if you're not doing anything? It's not like you're defending the relic like you should be. Lionheart meets with Watts, who leads him through a big spooky hallway into a big spooky room with the Skype Grim from last season in the middle. So isn't this a school? What's the purpose of this secret hallway if it just leads into a huge empty chamber? The candles are lit, so it's being maintained. Did they build it specifically for this purpose? How? When? Why? Why is the Skype Grim just chilling here? We see Salem again, accompanied by the other evil bad lady, and Lionheart essentially informs her about everything we already know from last episode. But while he's in the middle of telling her that they need to hurry, she has the Skype Grim grab him by the throat and just threatens him for no fucking reason. She almost kills him. Like, why? He was just trying to warn you. He didn't do anything. Who are you, you fucking asshole? Do you have any motivation besides being bad? What do you want? And get some real chairs, for fuck's sake. Tree trunks? Are you kidding me? We cut back to Weiss, still on the freighter ship, flying through an area over water full of flying islands. The pilot claims that the dust inside these islands is giving them turbulence, although he can handle it. I mean, you could just, fly under the islands or around them or above them. There's a lot of area around these islands that you could go through without having to pass directly through it. I thought we were done, stumbling headfirst into unnecessarily dangerous situations, but maybe they'll be fine. Oh. Flying Harpoon Kamikaze Wasp Grim. It's a step up from the giant rock monster anyway. Commence fight scene against the Flying Harpoon Kamikaze Wasp Grim. It's fine, I guess, all things considered. Couple times Weiss should have been flung directly into the water along with all the dust. The falling rocks hitting the Grim but not them was pretty dumb, and Weiss apparently now has the ability to remotely detonate like 20 crates of dust at the same time. She must have done some crazy training back home. Too bad we didn't get to see any of it. Anyway, the ship gets hit right before Weiss takes out the big boss Grim, and it crash lands on the coast. Oh god, it's this fucking guy. Adam Taurus, the best written and best performed character in all of fiction, is requesting that High Leader Plot Device let him lead an attack on Haven Academy. Surprisingly enough, and uncharacteristically of this show, she pushes back on him, which is actually kind of cool. I hope we get to see more on the political state of the White Fang, or maybe how different groups don't agree on terrorism, or who the High Leader should be, or even their core messaging. It'd be really cool if we got more on that. High Leader Plot Device then explains to Adam her entire political stance and personal motivation, which he should probably already know, but I guess we the audience need to get to know her pretty quickly. I wonder why. Turns out the White Fang's involvement in Beacon has had some pretty negative effects for them, including but not limited to the White Fang becoming a bigger target in the public eye, and the crippling of all communication globally. You fucking kidding me? Okay, there being one CCT tower in the entirety of Vale was stupid. The CCT tower being the sole route through which all communication was put was pretty stupid. The sole defense of the tower, and by extension the relic, being kids, was pretty fucking stupid. The destruction of the CCT tower cutting off Vale from the rest of the world was really fucking stupid. But a single tower going down, causing the entire network to collapse? Fucking what? Who built this? In the entire time they were constructing this vast communications network, did they never consider the possibility of downtime that might happen anywhere for any reason? What if lightning strikes one of them or something? What if there's a natural disaster? What if something just breaks? Does the entire system just fall apart at the seams then? Are there no backup towers? Why is everyone so dumb? And it's about to get so much worse. Adam calls in a friend as a representative of Salem's Funky Bunch, and hey, it's Duff McWhalen, look at him go! He's a tiny bit well-written, too. He's not just outright stating all of his motivations for no reason, and he's doing his best to avoid violent confrontation. It's almost like he's a character for now. But when he's in the middle of the conversation Adam brought him in to have with High Leader Plot Device, Adam completely cuts him off and starts going on a rant about racial superiority or something. Oh shit, there's like 20 people in the room now. Looks like he had more support than— Wait, he killed her? Here? What, are you slow? Was there any more conspicuous way you could have gone about doing this? I'm no expert on carrying out political assassinations, let it be known, but it doesn't take an Einstein to know that in this situation you probably want to avoid getting caught. What if one of your men decides to turn on you later on? What if word of this gets out to the other parts of the White Fang? Did you have to do this with 20 other people in the room? You didn't fucking tell Duff McWhalen about this? What is your problem, you fucking brain-dead tapeworm? And we're back with Weiss, who's looking pretty rattled after the crash. She's approached by a couple of guys in boots holding guns, and oh god, don't tell me this is Ravens. Oh, fuck off! God, fucking, this show is harmful to my sanity. Yes! Yes, the Bronwyn tribe. The tribe owned and operated by Crow's sister and Yang's mother, which happens to house the Spring Maiden and that the IQ Deficiency Support Group knows the exact location of and that Yang is also currently searching for. That Bronwyn tribe has just now happened to stumble upon Weiss. By chance! Real fucking lucky. We're now reaching cosmic stupid. We're not even 2 full episodes in and the stupid has already become the foundation for the entire plot of the season. How do you let this happen? Who wrote this? Blake's dad paces around reading through a script for a speech before delivering a line we really didn't need to hear and heading out onto the front steps of the house to speak to a crowd of about 40 people. He states that Adam Taurus and his followers have been confirmed to have been at the fall of Beacon. He holds up a scroll saying Blake and Son were able to retrieve it and that it had the information necessary to conclude that Adam Taurus planned to overthrow the White Fang's current leader. But not just that, dear viewer, no. It also contains detailed information about his plans to attack Haven Academy, including the exact time he plans to do it. So I'm more than willing to admit when I'm wrong, right? I was wrong last season when I thought the scroll simply materialized out of thin air. It was actually Ilia's from when they fought her on the rooftop that one time. Loose end tied up, yes? I was wrong this time? No, this is RWBY. There's more problems. Not only was this because the show did an absolutely horrendous job of telling the audience this scroll was Ilia's, since it ended up out of both Blake's and Son's hands at the end of that fight, and just magically appeared in Blake's dad's hand in the next scene, but also, if the scroll contained information of such a sensitive nature, why did Ilia not do anything to get it back besides half-assedly demand Blake to hand it over? Why does Ilia have access to this stuff in the first place? Isn't she just like a low-level grunt? How does the chain of command work in Adam's Swinner group? Is there even one to begin with? You're not seriously trying to tell me that it's just Adam and a bunch of random White Fang members. He doesn't vet them at all. He just puts his very sensitive attack plans in a fucking Dropbox for all of them to see. Are you trying to get caught? Anyway, he says he sent a messenger from Mistral to inform them. I'm sorry, I probably sound like a broken record, but can this be any more dumb? One CCT tower gets knocked out and all of the other ones get bricked? Are you kidding me? He appeals to his peaceful methods of achieving equality, saying that while he doesn't agree with many of Plot Device's methods, he agrees with their philosophy. He then tries to recruit the crowd to go with him to Haven to stop Adam's group and nearly loses them. Good going, you public speaker, you. And then is about to hand the mic to Blake when Ilia starts arguing very loudly to the contrary. I'm sorry, but the mask, I thought you guys didn't wear that in Menagerie. And you know what? She brings up some interesting points. Where were the humans when the dust companies treated the Faunus like slaves? Where were they when the kingdoms hunted them? When Ilia's parents died in dust mines? I'm starting to get more confused than I already was about the situation with the Faunus. In the first 3 seasons, we saw the Faunus at least making progress toward being equal with humans in kingdoms like Vale and what we heard of from Vacuo. We saw them walking around unbothered, owning businesses, attending the academies, participating in the Vital tournament, and then we were presented with a few instances of individual discrimination and schoolyard bullying. Now, the White Fang were certainly angry about discrimination, so we had reason to believe it existed somewhere in some capacity, but we've been ramping this up to extreme degrees since last season. Individual, even societal discrimination is believable based on what I've seen, but conditions tantamount to slavery? Open hunting of Faunus by the kingdoms? When? Where was this happening? Certainly not recently, right? Because with all we've seen of Remnant, I have no reason to believe that any of that is the case. Nectar and Boy shows the IQ Deficiency Support Group his new trick, being that he can speak to them as Osman. It seems Osman has existed for thousands of years, reincarnating over and over through fusing with different people. Apparently the gods put a curse on him after he failed to stop Salem all that time ago. So what's Salem been doing for all these thousands of years? Just chilling out in the evil grim flimflam land, being evil and making her followers sit on tree trunks? So the first thing they need to do is ensure the safety of the Relic of Knowledge, which is underneath Haven Academy. Cool. Hey, Weiss. She wakes up and the bandits immediately notice. Some lady with a lesbian haircut comes out from under a tent to taunt her, holding a sword, over-under on her being the Spring Maiden. Weiss responds to the taunting by telling them her sister will just come for her, and then they'll be sorry. You know, Weiss, it'd probably be better not to say that, since if Winter really was coming to get you, it'd be better for you if they weren't ready for it. And no, this is not in Weiss's character to do. Maybe like first season Weiss would do this, but not now. She's stuck up, but she shouldn't be a moron. Unfortunately, much like everyone else now, she is. But it turns out all the Atlas personnel have been recalled to Atlas anyway, so Weiss is kind of fucked. Looks like the IQ Deficiency Support Group is about to embark on a training arc. Crow's going to recruit more huntsmen, while the main 4 train with Persimmon Boy to get back into fighting shape. I'm running out of orange fruits. And we're back with Weiss. She summons a little night dude and resolves she can use it to cut out of the cell. Awesome. The opening song's actually starting to grow on me a little, even though what I'm seeing with my eyes is piss. Maybe this is Stockholm Syndrome kicking in finally, or maybe I'm just losing my mind, I don't know. Anyway, we cut back to Yang, who's on her motorcycle, and she's with the creepy guy. I still don't know why you would ever want to help her on account of the fact that she punched you in the face and is currently searching for your boss. I really don't know what you hope to gain from this. I mean, I know it's a trap because fuck you show, but still. He leads her into a large open area in the forest and runs off, saying he's going to make sure the coast is clear. Yang chills out for a minute before before promptly being shot at. Surprise, surprise, creepy guy led her into a trap, and now she's surrounded by people with guns. Putting aside knowing that Yang's going to be completely fine no matter what because the show has no stakes, why the fuck did you do this? What was the point of bringing this guy with you? The only thing that confuses me more than him wanting to help you is you agreeing to let him help you. You know he thinks he's tricking you, and you know you would just as easily find the Bronwyn's if you just looked around for a little while. That you didn't just tell him to fuck off is insane to me. So now the bandits have her at gunpoint. Now, usually, somebody would feel as though they were in some pretty big danger if put in this situation. After all, Amber Celica or no Amber Celica, a head is still a head and a bullet is still a bullet, right? I suppose not. Yang just engages her weapon out there in the open for everyone pointing a gun at her to see. Just shoot her, you fucks. Her arm is at her side. You have rifles aimed at her head. Are all of you stupid? Shady Man commands them to, quote, get her. And in response to this order, all of them, including the ones with guns, proceed to run directly at her. They consequently get the shit beat out of them because of course they do. Oh, by the way, half the group also teleported across the field, and unlike the others, they actually do shoot at Yang, with their guns. Although, conveniently, the bullets all happen to collide with Amber Celica. For doing the Mando thing, kill me now. In classic terrible fight scene fashion, the bandits decide to politely wait their turn for Yang to be done beating the shit out of somebody else before attacking her. Not only that, they'll just magically disappear from the fight for a time after getting flung off somewhere before conveniently rematerializing behind Yang so she can hit them again. And of course, on top of all of this, we also get the classic convenient gun jam. I love what I'm watching. Moving on, we cut to the IQ deficiency support group who's underway in their training. And honestly, it's fine. It's sort of a breath of fresh air to see these characters just sparring and working to improve instead of the show having them fight someone or exposit nonstop for a whole fucking season. That said, the fights just aren't the same, man. Even when they're not unforgivably retarded, they're just sluggish and boring. And we're back to Yang, who's being escorted into the Bronwyn compound by the same bandits that she beat up? Did she not just leave? You can't tell me she waited for them to get up, get their guns back, also they could just take her back to the compound anyway. Why didn't she leave? Her arrival prompts the guard station to watch Weiss to run over for some reason, giving her an opening to summon her mini P.E.K.K.A, and she has him start to swing at the bars. Yang confronts Raven, initiating a very loud conversation that Weiss should definitely be able to hear. We learn that she's here because she wants Raven to take her to RWBY with her floopy semblance portal or whatever. Now this could be an interesting little thing. Raven certainly has no material reason for helping Yang, so maybe we could have Yang be forced to strike up a deal with her, help her with something in exchange for the use of her floopy portal thing. It's common to the point of almost being overused, but it's something. It is writing. Instead, because this is RWBY, Yang just walks up and demands Raven let her use it. And what do you know? Raven refuses, because why wouldn't she? This is just silly. You walk up to the leader of a tribe of criminal bandits and demand she help you based on the fact that you're family? Are you dumb? Raven has her guys surround Yang, and in typical Bronwyn tribe grunt fashion, one singular dude charges at her and misses, prompting her to conveniently punch him into the tent that obscured her view of Weiss. I thought Weiss was using the mini P.E.K.K.A to break out. Wasn't he swinging away just a minute ago? Why is Weiss surprised to see Yang? She couldn't hear all of this? What was she doing all this time? Standing around in idle animation, staring at nothing? I was thinking maybe the show was going to have Weiss escape, narrowly avoiding a reunion with Yang, but I guess I shouldn't have, considering that's actually a little bit clever. So Weiss has the mini P.E.K.K.A grow into a normal P.E.K.K.A, increasing its elixir cost to 8 and breaking out of the top of the cage. So he could do that, but not break through the... fuck it. And so we have Weiss and Yang together and ready to square off against the Bronwyn tribe. But we're saved from another fight scene abortion by the girl with the lesbian haircut who strikes lightning in front of them. Yeah, this girl's a spring maiden, called it. Raven tells the two of them to come into her tent, saying that if they're going after RWBY, they need to know the truth. Well, you flipped quick. I guess you're not mad that your guys just left Weiss completely unguarded, allowing all of this to happen? Anyway, we get a little moment between Weiss and Yang, which would be a nice little moment if it were at all conceivable that Weiss should even be here. A quick reminder that Weiss is here because she happened to crash land in just the right spot on the coast of Anima to be found by the Bronwyn's patrols, and those patrols happened to have Raven with them, who knew she was a Schnee, and because she happened to not break out of her cell to escape despite being shown attempting to do that with the mini P.E.K.K.A 5 minutes ago. I am not nitpicking anything. The actions and events that lead characters to where they are in the story are not minor details. You can't build a dramatic story on top of characters that are all unwaveringly stupid in a plot based entirely on contrivances and expect it to work just fine. Okay, we're back with Blake and Sun, who are trying to raise support for a defense of Haven Academy. I don't quite understand why they're having to appeal to random people on the street as if that's going to get them anywhere. Is there no militia or military of any kind on Menagerie? No one you could try to persuade to help you besides random passersby? I mean, this is a pretty big island. I assume there's some sort of governing body present here besides the White Fang, or is this Ancapistan or something? After recruiting literally no one, they sit down and talk for a while. And for once, I can say it's not terrible, even though it is a little cringe. Throughout this conversation, we learn a little about Blake and the way she views other people, namely Adam and Aelia Ilia because they're the ones that matter right now. It's a short exchange, and it's definitely not something I tell you to look to if you were trying to learn how to write dialogue between characters, but it's something, a little something. It seems the writers remembered for a moment that Blake has an actual character that doesn't just involve crying about the faunus. But I also can't help but notice the fact that they put street vendors in the water, and there are people just standing in waist-high water doing business with each other. Like, why? The minute there's a storm or high tides or something, like, fuck it, whatever. We cut to the pumpkin boy who's practicing some swings on his own. Ruby comes down to tell him dinner's almost ready, leading us into another personal conversation. They start talking about Carrot Boy's improvement with Osmond's cane, but it quickly takes a turn, with him revealing just how afraid he is about the journey ahead. Ruby relates by finally acknowledging Penny and Pyrrha. We learn how she perceives the circumstances of both of their deaths, and that she still carries it with her after all this time. She says believing that they would have done the same thing for her is what keeps her moving forward. And you know what? Well done on this one. I never thought I'd say it, but we're actually approaching bare minimum with the character work this episode. Once again, it's not much, and it certainly doesn't help the absolute state this season is already in, but it's nice to have Ruby finally get that character work we should have seen her getting last season. If only John would get the same. And fuck me, we're back to the stupid. Those two fuckers from last season have just got done watching a video message. When Ilia comes knocking at their door. They tell her they've received a message from the Mistral Brotherhood. Telling them their mission was a success, being assassinating High Leader plot device and having Adam take their place. The story that she was killed by a human huntsman has apparently been given to the other branches of the White Fang, and they believed it? They state that with the CCT tower down, they control the flow of information, and that news of Adam's ascension is yet to make it to Menagerie. And finally, they ask her to kill the Belladonnas, for fear the people of Menagerie would rally behind them when the news did arrive. Okay, so let's actually talk about this for a minute. So, Adam, your plan is as follows. Bring Duff McWhalen, a human, into High Leader Plot Device's hall, talk at her about nothing for a while before eventually killing her while Duff McWhalen does nothing of value. You decide not only to do this with somewhere upward of 20 witnesses in the room, but also to fabricate a story that involves her being killed by a human, even though the only human in the whole building at the time was your collaborator, Duff McWhalen, something that very well would be discovered if an investigation was ever conducted, let alone a case of insubordination by one of your men. Oh, but I'm not finished. Not only did you engage in all of that stupidity, but you also waited until now, when the news of your ascension to High Leader is already on the way to Menagerie, where the Belladonnas have already revealed your plans to violently overthrow the current leader and presented concrete evidence to the public to finally decide they're a problem and need to be gotten rid of. So do you not have any plan at all? Are you doing all of this on impulse? Because that's what it feels like. If you had thought about this at all, you probably would have figured the Belladonnas are the first people you want gone before you take power, simply because of the fact that they used to be the heads of the White Fang and have views that are in direct opposition to yours. If you were as smart as the show seems to want me to think you are, forget the nonsense with the scroll, you would have put taking out the Belladonnas and snatching Blake well before assassinating the fucking High Leader of the White Fang. It alarms me how often the plot rewards you for the absolutely retarded decisions you make. Actually, how can you be this stupid this consistently and get away with it every time? Does the show actually want me to think you're intelligent, or are you being characterized this way on purpose? Because I don't know if the people writing the show know this, but you've just put yourself in a situation where your plan is entirely reliant on the other branches of the White Fang not checking their homework twice. She leaves conflicted about the whole thing, and the two fuckers decide to play their message back. It's a holographic message from Adam, ordering them to kill Blake's family and bring her to him alive. So if the CCT tower's down, how'd you receive this transmission? This video message from Mistral? A funny Birdman comes into the room and announces that the messenger tasked with informing Mistral of Adam's plans is dead, bringing us to the end of episode 5. This was almost impressive. I would say I've never seen a less competently told story, one that manages to fall flat more than this in respect to almost every single plot point, every single character interaction bar 2, and all of the slack-jawed world building it tries to shove in despite how blatantly it violates everything that came before it. See, I would say all of that if the Acolyte didn't exist. Thanks for watching, I'll see you soon. Hey, so, for any of you still watching, thanks for coming this far. It's always a pretty long ordeal, these videos, so it's nice to see people actually watch them to the end. I was gonna end it there, but in light of some recent happenings regarding RWBY, I figured I'd dust off my old commentary YouTuber hat and put it on for a minute. I figure most of you know that after Volume 9 came out, Rooster Teeth kicked it. Like, they're just gone now. And for a pretty long while, we actually didn't know what was going to happen to RWBY, since no one seemed to want to buy it. It was just sort of up in the air for a while as to who was going to own it. But a couple weeks ago, it turns out the rights to RWBY have been acquired by Viz Media. So if you don't know who they are, they essentially publish like every Shonen Jump property They also publish like Full Metal Alchemist, the JoJo manga. I don't know if they typically do anime, but I guess they do in this situation. The point being, they're a big fish in the manga market. I didn't ever think I'd see RWBY changing hands, to be honest, but I guess here we are. I would say that any hands would be better than Rooster Teeth's, but that's wrong. There are people that I would trust way less with this IP than Rooster Teeth, which is a pretty crazy thing to say, but it's true. But I guess it leaving Rooster Teeth's hands in the first place is good, because, God, Rooster Teeth fucked this series. Am I optimistic about what Viz Media might do with it? I mean, in the past they've published the RWBY manga and the anthologies. The Shiro Miwa manga is actually amazing. You should read it, it's great. And the manga anthologies are fine. You know, they're nothing special, but they're good. So, you know, I mean, Viz Media has a fine track record with RWBY. The manga they've published is, for the most part, better than the show, so I'm willing to give Viz a chance with it. It's not like it would have been better had Rooster Teeth kept it, because, you know, the way it was when Rooster Teeth had it was fucking horrible. Like, in my perfect world, the writer's room would be completely replaced, because the people writing RWBY have no idea what they're doing. But I have my doubts on whether anything's actually going to change, because I figure they're keeping the whole team. It's just that the people who own it is changing, which, you know, sucks, but a man can dream, I guess. Well, anyway, I'm glad the IP's not dead in the water, because the show's not over yet. It hasn't ended properly. And shit show or not, it sucks when a story ends before it can end, you know? But that's not happening to RWBY, so, you know, we'll probably get a proper ending. Probably not a good one, but an ending. Sort of like My Hero is ending now, which is a crazy thing to think about. I remember when it came out. I watched the first season, like right around when it came out. I never got any further than that. I thought it was pretty boring, but to each their own, I guess. But yeah, anyway, that's about my whole thoughts on the Rooster Teeth thing. In short, I hope that they change the writers. That's really it. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you all soon.